All right, good morning, everybody. It is the last week of the month, which means today is a marketing Q&A on our live stream. And I am going to bring Instagram on, and then we're going to get started. So here we go. All right. Good morning. It is the last Tuesday of the month, which means today is our live Q&A about the marketing topic that we've been talking about for the past month. So this week, our live Q&A is going to be about best times to post, because that's been our November topic. So I have a few questions written down here that you sent to me that I've chosen to answer. And so we'll jump in, and forgive me, my kids brought home kind of the crud that's going around. So if my voice cuts out a little bit, I'm on the tail end here. All right, so the first question I wanted to answer today is about Google Analytics and a question about mobile versus desktop. So someone wrote into me and said that they've been using Google Analytics, and a couple weeks ago, if you've been listening to the live stream, you know that I gave you instructions on how to download Google Analytics so that you could tell more about the best times to post for your audience. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and go download that now so that you can get those analytics. If you have done that, then this question will make sense to you. This person said their Google Analytics is telling them that more people see their website on desktop than mobile. And their question is, does that mean that the lunchtime and evening times that I talked about being good times to send out emails don't apply to them? So let me back up for a second so that everybody listening can get some context for this question. So a few weeks ago, I said that the lunch break, 12 to 1 p.m., and evening hours, kind of between 8 and 10 p.m. or 7 and 9 p.m., that kind of 7 to 10 p.m. prime time window is a good time to send out email marketing emails. And the reason I said that is because Google Gmail has a promotions tab. So if someone sees your email marketing emails on a desktop computer, there's a high chance that your email marketing email that came from an email marketing program is going to be stuck behind the promotions tab. And if you use Gmail, you have your primary tab, then you have a social tab where all your social media emails go, and then you have a promotions tab. So that's what I'm talking about, that third tab. And so by using the lunch break and the evening hours, you can get around the promotions tab because people are looking at email most likely on their phone. And when people are looking for emails on their phone, there is no promotion tab on your mobile phones. So they're more likely to see the email marketing emails you send out, which is why I like those times for sending emails. Now, this person in their question is saying, well, I'm using Google Analytics and I'm finding that most people are finding my website via desktop anyway. So should I really be focusing on sending my emails during those times if most of my audience is finding me on their desktop anyway? And that's a really good question, because they're saying, well, is there another time I should, what they're really asking is there another time I should be sending an email since most of my audience finds me on desktop? And what I say is hold off before you assume that, because what you want to look at on your Google Analytics is your referrals. Referrals, it's a section on your dashboard. When you install your Google Analytics, you'll log in and you'll be brought to your dashboard. So if you just scroll down till you see referrals, it's right there on the front page. And what a referral is it tells you where your traffic is coming from. So when you look at your referrals, is the traffic that you're getting on your website coming from your email marketing program? If so, it will tell you that. Most likely your traffic is coming from other websites or social media or people that are kind of browsing through things on their desktop. Now, if most of your traffic is coming from email marketing on desktop computers, then sure, you can test other times. You might want to test 9 or 10 in the morning when people are kind of doing an initial or second sweep of email checking. So yes, if most of your referrals are coming from email marketing on desktop, go ahead and test sometimes outside the lunch hour and in the evening. But I'm willing to bet that most likely your referrals are actually from other websites or social media on desktop. And I would still test those high mobile times then if that's the case, okay? But again, if your referrals, if your email marketing is working on desktop really well, then you can start testing other times. But I just wanted you to be aware of the fact that you need to know if people are finding you on desktop via email marketing specifically before you make the assumption that the lunch hour and the evening hour doesn't apply to you. Okay, next question. Someone wrote in and said, I've tested several different times to send my email and several different days. Like I said a couple weeks ago, I took you guys through how to test different times and days in a way that will really tell you what the optimal times are to send emails, but my open rate is flat at about 15%. What should I do? So, first of all, if you're trying to look for a target open rate, I think 25% is a great open rate for email marketing. So that I just want to get that out there first. So 15%, yes, we do need to work on that a little bit. So this person says they've tested several different times and nothing seems to kind of spike or change an open rate. And I just want to go back and review a little bit about how I explained a few weeks ago to test the best times to send email, just so that if you're jumping in this week for the first time, you have some context to this question. So when you test email open rates, it's very important to test them over a certain period of time because people need to know when your emails are coming and get used to that so they know when to actually go look for your emails. So I want you to take a whole week to test sending emails, say at the lunch hour, or excuse me, a whole month, because I recommended in the live broadcast about when to send emails that you send emails once a week. So I want you to take a whole month to test which day and time you're trying, and then I want you to vary it. So before you think, oh, there's no difference between which times I send emails, make sure you're doing your tests over enough time to really tell a difference. So if one week you're sending an email at one time and another week you switch the time, well, your audience hasn't really gotten used to the fact that you send emails at a certain time if you vary it week by week. So you really need to stick with a certain time for a whole month to test it. Now, if you've done that and still you're not finding that optimal time for your open rate, and you're also paying attention to Google Analytics so you know your high traffic times to test, I would next look at your subject line. So sometimes we can't fix everything based on retargeting or sending at a certain time. We have to look deeper, and most of the time the problem is with content. So the first month that I did this, or a month before I did optimal times to send your content, we focused on how to make great content, because the crux of everything is great content that speaks to your ideal customer. If you don't have that, it's going to be an uphill battle to get eyeballs on your content, right? People need to really feel like they're being spoken to and that they need to know more about what you have to offer. And so again, if your open rate is remaining flat and you've tested a lot of different times, I want to go look at some content problems. And the first content problem I want to look at is your subject line. Now, in my course, Zero to Digital, that I talk about social media and digital marketing and how it all kind of works together for your organization, we really hone in, we do a complete exercise on subject lines, and we treat a subject line actually differently than a whole email because subject lines are so important. A lot of times we spend 95% of our time writing an email and only 5% of the time writing a subject line. But a subject line, 95% of the time, is what gets us to open an email, okay? So here's 2 pointers I'm gonna give you today to improve your open rate with your subject line. First, give me a little wave if you've heard the term FOMO, fear of missing out. So usually people that that open an email do so because they know that they need the information inside. And if they don't open the email, they're going to miss out on something really important. So we want to use that psychology in our favor. So you can use FOMO by saying, don't make these mistakes, or the one thing that you could do differently that you're probably not doing. So when you think about it, think of what would make me want to really open something? What would make me say, wow, I really need to read this content so that I can improve my business or my life or whatever it is you're selling in your business to your consumer, right? So kind of use that psychology, and you really want to reverse it rather than saying 3 tips for this or that. You know, what are the 3 things you want to avoid, and how are you going to teach someone to do it better? That usually works a lot better than just saying, here's my 3 tips for this, that, or the other. Okay, so that's number 1. And then number 2 is, don't just write 3 different subject lines and pick one. I challenge you to write 20 subject lines. Same thing when I teach people to write press releases, write 20 headlines. And I will say between about 15 and 18, you're going to get to gold, because you've gone through so many kind of different options. You're really forced to think about the best way to say things, or a more or a word that is rare but effective, because you've already gone through the common things. And sometimes you'll get to, you know, that 15 to 20 range and say, okay, something in the 1 to 5 was much better, but at least you know. Okay, so I want you to really treat the subject line as an exercise in and of itself. Now, my caution to you is, you don't want to get clickbaity. That's a term, clickbait, that you may have heard thrown around, especially during election time, where people make a headline just to get you to click, and then the email isn't congruent with what the subject line told you you're going to read. Well, all that does is get you a very high bounce rate, meaning people are going to open the email, but they're really not going to pay attention to the content inside. So make sure that you're being creative with your subject lines and you're giving them the time they deserve, but at the same time, don't turn your subject lines into clickbait. Okay, so those are my 2 tips for improving your subject line. So sometimes it's not all about what time you're posting or sending your content. Okay, sometimes it's about the actual content. All right. Now the third question, I always pick 3 questions in my Q&A session. So the third question I chose because it really leads very nicely into something that we're doing next month. And it said, someone wrote in and said, the holidays seem like such a crowded time on social media and email marketing. I seem to be getting a lot of promotions. How do I stand out from the rest? Or should I just wait and do promotions in another time of year? And I think this is a great question, because the holidays are a tricky time. And a lot of people are trying to get their content out there, and a lot of people are making a last-ditch effort at trying to get a certain amount of sales in for the year. So last week I talked a lot about partnerships on my live stream, and I'm a firm believer of that. So I just want to remind you, a great way to stand out is to double your efforts in a win-win way for everybody. And for me, I like to suggest that you create a public-private partnership, or a nonprofit for-profit partnership. So if you're a for-profit organization, find a nonprofit that you really believe in and partner with them, and do some kind of, you know, you see food drives, or clothing collections, or gift card collections for the holidays. It's a win-win for everybody. And then both organizations are putting their digital marketing efforts together, and both audiences are creating a synergy with one another, and everybody's seeing twice the amount of content. So in marketing, we actually call this bundling. So people that usually would look at content because they like you are now seeing something new from someone else, and vice versa. So it's win-win, because not only are you helping the world become a better place during the holiday season, which is, first of all, a great reason to do it in and of itself, but you're getting twice the attention for what you're doing. And then you get more of that excitement and energy and resulting in eyeballs on the promotions that you do send out, right, during this time. So I would really encourage you to find something partnership-wise that you can do during the holidays to really get more people looking at your content. Okay, and go ahead and message me or post on social media what your ideas are. Tell me to tune in. I'd love to see what partnerships you guys are coming up with. And with that said, I want you all, by the end of the year, to be more comfortable using video. So video is a very powerful way to get seen on social media, email marketing, and it also really improves your SEO, your search engine optimization, because people tend to stay on a website or a piece of content longer when there's a video. And then your search engine optimization is going up because your bounce rate is going down. So I want you all to be very comfortable with using video by the end of the year. So next month, each week, I'm going to give you a pointer about how to start creating videos in a comfortable way. And in the same way that I told you about email subject lines, I'm going to give you a little preview by saying most of the time we approach videos in a way that actually hinders our progress rather than increases it. So I am going to kind of debunk some myths about what makes a great online video and help you kind of move past some blocks to just start putting out more video content. So be sure to tune into my live streams. Next month starts a new month, and that will be our month where we all, by the end of the year, get comfortable with videos. So December is going to be my little video challenge month. And speaking of getting content in front of more people for the holidays, I think it's really going to help you with that. So thank you for tuning in to my Q&A, and I can't wait to see you next week and talk a little bit more about videos. As always, if you have any other questions, I try to address all the questions I get, even if I don't address them on the live stream. So always feel free to email me at hi@marketingsimplified.com. That's just hi@marketingsimplified.com. All right, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you live next week.